Happy welcome back to the More YouTube channel. It's Chris back with a match preview for Newcastle United's upcoming game this Sunday at 2 o'clock down at the City Ground against high-flying Nottingham Forest. They are on fire this season, third in the Premier League, and we're going into this game 11th. How the tables have turned indeed. Forest fans enjoying a brilliant season so far with some ex-Newcastle players massively responsible for them being where they are. We're going to get stuck right into this, talk about the lineup, talk about how I think the lads are going to do, talk about the opposition as well, especially a couple of ex-Newcastle United players. As I said before, if this is the kind of thing you guys do, like, smash subscribe, come help us get that 9,000 subscribe mark. We're really close. We're only a couple of hundred out. And once we get there, we'll do a brilliant prize draw. We've got a retro blue McEwen shirt to give away from the Keegan era. Must-have prize for any Newcastle United fan or just classic kit collectors because it's a belter. So help get us there, guys. Share the video with family and friends. Keep it evermore and help us grow. So what we're going to do about Sunday then. Nottingham Forest, they are playing brilliantly this season, absolutely brilliantly. I think Chris Wood has just won Player of the Month, and Nuno Espirito Santo always makes me think of Supernatural throwing some holy water on a demon. When I say that, he is one Manager of the Month as well, because they've been absolutely brilliant. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. They're sitting third in the Premier League. So in total, they've played 10 games. They've won 5. They've drawn 4. They've only lost 1. They've scored 14 goals and only conceded 7 goals. They've won 3 of the last 6 Premier League games, including battering West Ham 3-0 in their last outing where Chris Wood scored again. And just to let you know, that's Chris Wood's 10th goal in the 8th goal, I beg your pardon, in the Premier League this season. That's 3 goals more than he scored in his entirety at Newcastle United. What's happened to Chris Wood? Honestly, what has happened to Chris Wood? He's just turned into this absolute beast of a player. I mean, he's probably at his peak, at his pomp now in terms of a player, but Forest just seem to get the best out of him. You know, he's strong, he backs into players, he seems to just be finishing with confidence. I mean, that hat-trick scored against us last season was ridiculous. He was like R9 in that game, but you know, he's really playing well, and he's surrounded by pace and creativity. But we'll get into them in a minute in a bit more detail. Let's talk about Newcastle United. So we're coming off the back of 2 brilliant results against Chelsea in the Cup, and then obviously last week against Arsenal. We're absolutely brilliant. So this is how I think the lads are going to line up now. I think Eddie Howe might surprise everybody here. I'm probably wrong. He's probably not going to do this. He's probably going to put Shaw Longstaff in midfield. But I think this is how we're lined up. So the back four kind of picks itself. Nick Pope in goal. Tino Livramento right back. Fabian Schär alongside Dan Burn, which I think this is a great game for Dan Burn against Chris Wood. That's his kind of game. So if he wants to get into a battle with Chris Wood, he might nullify him in the game, you know, because Burns like that. He likes those kind of rough and tumble games as well. Lewis Hall, left back, buoyed with confidence after getting his England call-up. Absolutely brilliant for Lewis Hall, as we said in the video the other day. And I think he could give us a real threat going down that left-hand side. In the midfield, I've gone for Sandro Tonali, sitting at the number 6 position, with Bruno Guimaraes to the right-hand side of the midfield and Joe Willock on the left-hand side. In the front 3 with Joe Linton left side, Isak through the middle, and Anthony Gordon on the right-hand side. Anthony Gordon has to play on the right-hand side. Doesn't matter if Tonali plays this game or not. Anthony Gordon has to play on the right-hand side, whipping crosses in like he did the other week for Alexander Isak, for that bullet header. And that's what we need to see happening. Now, the midfield is an interesting quandary because this is why I think Eddie might change it now. You know, Forest have got a lot of energy in that midfield. In the last game, they had Ryan Yates and Dominguez playing as the 2 holding players, and they had Elanga, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Callum Hudson-Odoi, who I think is a brilliant player. I'm amazed we didn't go for him for £3 million. I mean, what a fucking bargain that was. Newcastle should have been all over that. Could have maybe done us a favour on that right-hand side instead of Murphy and Almiron. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But I think Elliot Anderson will come back into that Forest team to add energy, to add legs. Elliot's been brilliant this season. He's obviously playing against his old team. You know, he'll know a lot about us as well. He'll be keen to prove what he can do at this against this football club that let him go. You know, he had his academy spell there. He's a Geordie lad through and through, but he'll want to play well and he'll want to do something about, you know, Newcastle United really and show them what he's all about. So I think he'll come back into that midfield, and because of that, I think we might have to have Sandro just to unlock you know, some holes in that Nottingham Forest defence, play through the lines, play through those defensive midfielders, in through that back 4, you know, and just try and create something. But knowing Eddie, he'll probably go with Sean Longstaff, and Sean deserves to keep that place after that brilliant performance against Arsenal. But I just think this is a better game for Sandro, but there is a growing fear in some quarters that Sandro and Bruno can't play together. So he might play Sean Longstaff in that midfield. But there's a lot of energy in that midfield from Forest. I like their team. I mean, Morgan Gibbs-White's a sensational player. Langer's got pace to burn. If he pulls out at Dan Burn, we could be in trouble. But Lewis Hall, hopefully, will have the protection and the cover of Joe Linton and Joe Willock to make sure he doesn't get burned for pace. But Newcastle go into this game after two really good performances and almost rekindling the confidence that Newcastle had when we were that team and finished in the top four and we just blasted everybody away. So I'm pretty confident going into this game. As good as Forest have been, I really do think that Newcastle can give them a real good game here. I really do. But going back to what I was saying about that side, I mean, the pace of Elanga, the quality of Hudson-Odoi, the energy of Elliot Anderson, these are all elements that's creating opportunities and goals for Chris Wood. And that's another reason why he's scoring so many goals. You know, Forest have built a really good team there with Gibbs-White in there as well, who I think is a great player as well. The Forest were really looking to keep a hold of him, I think, but they've added more quality around him and taken the burden off Morgan Gibbs-White. So this is not going to be an easy game for Newcastle United at all, in my opinion. I honestly think this is going to be a really, really tough game. My head says draw in this game, but my heart says Newcastle can squeak a 2-1 win. I think if we show up like we have done in the last two games and we really put that intensity and that press onto Forest. We played well against them in the Cup as well. We've got a good kind of record against them as well. But I think if we play with that intensity and press, and it has to be the same level of intensity as it was against Chelsea, against Arsenal, this is where Newcastle fall down. They're putting these performances against Manchester City. They put them in against Chelsea and Arsenal. And then when they play against teams like Forest, despite them being third in the Premier League, they're not classed as, you know, that elite kind of style of team that, you know, people show up against. You know, it's the Fulhams, the Brentfords, the Evertons, you know, the Forests where we really step off the gas, and these teams, you know, give us a sucker punch. But Forest are on fire this season. They really, really are. They're one of the informed teams in the Premier League, and Newcastle will have to be at their very, very best to get anything out of this game whatsoever. And it is going to be a really tricky one. As I say, I can't split it between a draw and a win, but I'm going to go for broke and say Newcastle just sneak this one 2-1, and that'll be an amazing away victory and probably something we haven't done too much of this season. But let us know in the comments below what you guys think about the lineup, about the game. Who are you worried about for Nottingham Forest? Is it Chris Wood? Is it Elliot Anderson, the ghost of Christmas past? Or are you worried about another player? Is it Gibbs-White? Is it Elanga? They have got some very talented players. I think Nuno's doing a great job there. A little bit of a kind of redemption story for Nuno as well, who was written off after that time at Spurs. You know, these jobs aren't easy. Some of these jobs, you know, Spurs, Manchester United, all these jobs can be poison chalices in a way. And Nuno was written off by a lot of people. You know, and he's come back to the Premier League, and I think he's proved a lot of people wrong. He's a very good manager, and he's shown what he can do with that team. He's built a good team there with young players, talented players, pace, you know, energy, skill, quality. So this is going to be a really difficult game for Newcastle. I like the way Forest are playing this season. I don't know if it's going to last all season. I'm waiting for a bubble to burst, but it might not do. That happens with teams like Leicester, happened with us. People were waiting for that bubble to burst and it didn't burst. So I think Forest could be in for a really good season, which is great for their supporters. A huge football club with massive success, great history in terms of European Cup winners, Brian Clough and all that kind of stuff. So this will be a great season for Forest, I think, moving forward, and a really enjoyable one too, spearheaded by the Jody Maradona, sadly for us, who I'm still devastated that we saw. But a tough game, definitely for Newcastle, but I'm going for a 2-1 win. My heart is overruling my head, but let us know what you guys think. Smash a comment in below. We'll do our best to reply to you. Like and subscribe, guys. Help get us to 9K. I'll be back with a post-match reaction to this game. Hopefully Newcastle have got a positive result. Until then, keep it evermore. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you later.